lot of people are depicting the blue tick or the white tick or whatever we're supposed to call it as elitist, but I don't think it is elitist. It's mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Now, I have been banned from saying the name of James May's new book because apparently my accent makes it sound rude. So it is called
Carbolics.
Thanks, Chloe. James May joins us. Hi, James.
Good morning.
I feel like I need to say it now.
No, don't, because it really sounds rude.
I said it earlier and I got a telling off, but it's just because I'm Scottish. It's very unfair.
It never occurred to me that it could be misinterpreted in any way. That's incredible.
Yes, me neither, when I loudly and proudly said it on the radio first thing this morning. Tell us. I was about to say it then. Tell us about your book. Is it a history of soap?
No. No, that it's subtitled as a personal motoring disinfectant, I suppose. I was cleansing my own mind in a very old-fashioned way, like you would with carbolic soap, of numerous thoughts. And to be honest, they first appeared, all these little essays, on our Drive Tribe website, which sadly folded. And I was being hurt, I suppose, because, as I explained in the introduction, when a thing like an app and its associated web page go down, the content simply disappears. Even newspapers survive in archives. You know, I can go back and look at things that I wrote in newspapers in the 90s, but I couldn't do that with stuff that had been on an app that had disappeared. And in a fit of pique, I turned them into a book.
They're brilliant, and there's loads in here of varying lengths. I've read some of them, and they are excellent. Everything from
Thank you.
I hate drifting to Volvo ruined my life.
Volvo did ruin my life.
Tell us that one.
Well, the Volvo ruined my life because when I was a teenager, a very difficult time. Obviously, there was a girl I liked whose name was Liz. I can say it now, and she lived around the corner. And I used to go round as a suitor, I suppose you would say if you were very old-fashioned. But the problem was they lived in a very modern house. I'm talking about the 1970s here. So it was a very boxy, modern house with the driveway right next to it and the garage at the back. Typical layout. There's millions of houses like that in Britain. But in order to get to the door, you had to walk up the drive, and I had to walk past her dad's Volvo 244. And it's such a bluff-fronted, square car. It just says no. and as a result, I was sexually and emotionally repressed for years afterwards.
Have you ever owned a Volvo? Because you did say in here that you were quite determined to own a Volvo estate.
Yeah, no, I haven't owned a Volvo, but I have this theory, which I expressed on the show with the other two, and they always hold me to it, is that everybody is ultimately headed for a Volvo estate. There is one in everybody's life. Some people never quite make it, but I feel it is there, and it's a little bit like, needing to have a tooth removed. You may as well just go to the dentist and have it done. So I look at Volvos. Our old office used to be behind a Volvo storage pan. So when I looked out of the window, I could see hundreds of Volvos lined up. And I used to think, well, I know it's going to happen. Why don't I just walk over there and get it over with? Get my Volvo estate. Well, achieve closure.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, as we're speaking, Nick in Cardiff texts, my dad bought me a Volvo as my first car so I would be safe. I was safe, but also lonely.
Yeah, yes. I think this man had a very complicated relationship with his father that needs to be investigated further.
And also with his
Volvo estate as a first car. It's supposed to be your last car. That's very wrong.
There's so much good stuff in here. I'm going to read the rest of it later today. I read about half of it last night. It's fantastic. I clocked the bit. I love internal combustion, but it's doomed. This is, of course, a reference to internal combustion engines, obviously, and how long the future is for them. What are your musings on this?
Well, the thing that's always amazed me about petrol and diesel engines is that they're a great deal of faff, because all you're after, and this was true of the water wheels and the windmills of the early industrial revolutions, and even pit ponies and the human treadmill, is you're just trying to make a shaft go round and round. Because then you can do things. You can drive cars, you can drive machineries, you can spin the propellers of ships, and all these things. But the way the engine does it is so convoluted, because you've got bits going up and down that then make other things go round and round, so other bits can go up and down again to make the big bit go round and round at the bottom. And it's obviously ridiculous from an engineering point of view compared with an electric motor, which only really has one bit moving round and round. There are only two bits in an electric motor. There's the static bit, the casing, if you like, the stator, and then the rotor, which is the spinning round bit. There's no ugly reciprocating movement to cause vibration and stress. Electric motors are obviously a better idea, but we've been fighting it.
Yeah, well, but you are an adopter, aren't you? You've got an electric car.
Yeah, I have two.
Do you have a Tesla? Is one of them a Tesla?
Yes, it is, and I know where you're headed with this.
Oh my god, my journalistic skill has been uncovered.
Excellent segue.
Thank you very much. Shall we talk about Elon Musk?
Well, okay. Yes, I've been getting involved in the debate on Twitter.
Yes, I saw this, ironically.
Which I think is fascinating. I mean, it's a very complicated subject, and it is a very, very interesting debate, and I think that's the point of Twitter. There's a few things that trouble me about it. One is, and this is idealistic, I know, and there are lots of problems with it, but I like the idea that Twitter is the greatest experiment in history, the greatest social experiment, and it should be a free-for-all. Because I know there are, haters and bots and all these things, and they're ugly and they upset us. But I sort of feel that this is our chance for society to deal with it, because it is social media and it's society's job to confront these things and shut them down, not push them to one side and pretend they're not happening. And also, since we're on the subject of bots, I think Twitter must be the world's biggest and longest running Turing test, which has to be useful, surely.
That's really interesting, actually, as a thought. Do you think Elon Musk is a complete rogue maverick in his takeover? Or is he a genius or some sort of grand plan at play here from one of the world's best disruptors?
I don't know, because a part of me thinks that he might actually be being a troll and he's winding us up.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the blue tick thing, which did annoy me a bit, because he started off saying that it was a bit lords and peasants and everybody could have one if they paid the $8 or whatever he's decided it is currently. Now, I did also do a tweet where I said, in an ideal world, everybody on Twitter would be verified, so you know who you're talking to, and everybody is ultimately accountable, which is more responsible, which completely contradicts what I said just now. But the bit that annoyed me about the blue tick debate is, I have one, and I didn't particularly want one. I applied for one because I was being impersonated, and the person impersonating me was spouting a lot of hate stuff and a bit of racism, which I didn't like. So I got the blue tick. But actually, as I see it, and I know this is going to sound a little bit pompous, it benefits everybody, because people with a big following and, public figures, not me, people like politicians and world leaders and respected organizations, which includes retail operations, Marks and Spencers and what have you, the blue tick protects them from dangerous impersonation, but it also allows everybody else to be reassured that they're talking to the right person. So it's actually a benefit. I don't think there's anything lordy about it. And a lot of people are depicting the blue tick or the white tick or whatever we're supposed to call it as elitist. But I don't think it is elitist. It's mutually beneficial. Yeah. And Twitter exists because of the content. You will understand this because you're journalists and you work in radio, but it's the people on Twitter, everybody on Twitter, not just people with blue ticks and superstars, everybody on Twitter is Twitter because it depends entirely on the content. It can't exist without it. And I can understand why people want to try and control it and rein it in a bit and possibly even turn it into a business, because it does have to make money to support itself. But I don't think you should be taking the money off the people who are actually providing the content on which the whole thing is founded. Otherwise, it would be a bit like you ringing me up and saying, would you like to come on Times Radio? It's £5.
Yes.
Which maybe it should be. I don't know. But it's an
don't say that.
Yes, don't make any suggestions, James. You don't know what might happen.
Stop being such a disruptor. Goodness
I'll send you £5 anyway.
Exactly. I do just want to mention the Grand Tour, because the latest episode, A Scandi Flick, has been available for a little while, but it's our first time getting to speak to you since it came out. And we are going to play a slightly distressing 25-second clip of a particular moment from A Scandi Flick. Here it is.
Which one would that be?
Big one. Get the medics.
James, that was you crashing quite dramatically,
Yes.
actually, at 70 miles per hour in a sort of intermittently lit tunnel. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. It was
Yeah,
ages
good.
ago,
Yeah,
actually.
no,
It was in March.
yeah.
Yeah, I was all right after a week. I was just a bit sore.
Yeah, it was awful to see because I didn't when I watched it when it came out. I clearly didn't know that was going to happen. It's genuinely distressing. It's a proper crash.
Yes, I suppose it is a proper crash. Possibly not quite as bad as it looks, but thank you for being distressed.
No,
The trouble is when you're in things like car crashes. I've had a few crashes in other modes of transport as well. They happen so quickly that you have a tiny fraction of a second to think. You can't actually form the words, "Oh no, I've cocked this up," but that's what the sort of the neural response is, and then it's over, and you're not dead, so you can move on.
we are. James, it's so good to speak to you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
We're glad you're well, and we're glad your new book is out, which is called Carbolics. There you go. My last. You see why they banned me from saying it.
Yes.
It's lovely to have you on. We'll catch you again soon. That is James May. The new book is out. It's available. And of course, he presents the Grand Tour as well.